Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So I have flipped our big maple log up onto its side here. I'm going to take a slice off the very top. It's going to be about 4 inches. I have raised the saw to the maximum height that I can get. So I would probably have liked to go maybe just a little bit higher, not much, half an inch perhaps, but so be it. That's all I can do on the saw. So we'll cut that off, and then we'll start making successive slices on this big chunk of maple. That's today's adventure. There is our first cut. So we'll make another slab out of this one. This is going to look good. And this is what came off. So I think this is a fairly thick piece. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe a couple table legs in that. There's certainly some material in there that I think can be salvaged. So we'll probably cut a lot of that up on the table saw to get us bits that we can use. But we'll carry on milling this. The cut on this is just really nice. Again, you can see saw marks, but just barely. Mind you, I am cutting this very slowly. It is wet maple, so it is. Yeah, it's not dry stuff, so it's pretty hard to cut. And we do have a couple little insect borers here. There's one there. I found another one on top of the piece. There's another example of one here. So certainly seeing some results. Here's another one that's covered in. So that may account for some of the coloring on the wood that we're getting. We're getting insect damage. But I'll reset the saw now, and let's take another inch off this. Okay, reset for another 1 inch cut, a little bit more than 1 inch, about a 1/16 more, maybe an eighth more. And a little more fiddling with dust collection on the back side of the blade. So back on time lapse, let's take another slice. Here's the piece that we just cut off off our log. Really pleased with the result of this. This is a nice piece of maple. There's some interesting markings on it. And saw is just doing a fabulous job. Again, you can just barely see the saw marks. So I'm going to go through, take off and reset, do another slice. Same thickness, and just be going really slow. So it's about maybe 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches a minute. So it does take a long time. It took about 40 minutes to get through this one slice. But again, going through some wet maple. So I'm happy to take the time. I gave the blade a quick sharpen. Just thought after making about 4 cuts with that blade, maybe worthwhile sharpening it up since we are going through such heavy wood, dense wood. So lowered, made a slight modification of the dust collection, continuing with that experiment, and away we go. Here's our next slab, and again, some really interesting coloring. However, what I have noticed and what I observed while cutting this piece is that I had to go really slow right through to about here, which coincides with this darker wood here. And as I just rub my hand over it, I can feel this is wet. This is quite wet wood compared to this. So as soon as I got out of that wet wood, I started to be able to cut a little bit faster. However, I had to slow it down again when I got up here, going through a knot and getting a little bit wet. And in fact, you can see the saw marks are kind of oscillating a little bit coming through here as they are going through here. It seems that this 3 teeth per inch blade is not able to clear out the sawdust as fast as it needs to. So a 2 tooth per inch blade, I'm beginning to believe, would be the right thing to get. So, yeah, there we are, another slice. That did take a while. It was almost an hour to cut through that. But boy, that's a nice piece of 1 inch solid maple that's a little over 8 inches wide. That's a nice piece. I'm liking that. So I might try just touching up the saw blade again, just sharpen it a little bit, but I'm going to take a slight break and come back a little later. I'll be back in a sec. So I'm going to give the blade another sharpen here, and use the term a little loosely because I'm just touching the tip of every blade, or every tooth. That does make a little bit of a difference. So being such hardwood and very wet, I want this to be as sharp as I can get it. I was looking last night for a 2 tooth per inch blade. Not easy to come by, at least in this size. So I'm 93.5 inches is the length of my blade. But it seems like 3 teeth per inch is about the most that people are willing to go. I found a place where I can get one custom made, and I might wind up doing that, but it'll take about a week to get a blade, maybe a little longer. So I'm going to follow up on that today. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to sharpen this. We'll try and get another slice. By starting at the seam of the blade, I know when I've gone all the way around, because I start here, spin it around. By the time I get back, I know I'm done. All right, I'll set up the saw for another cut, and we'll see how this works with a little bit of sharpening on it. All right, I've dropped the blade another inch and a bit. I adjusted this guide because the blade guide on the saw is just may not clear it at this height. So I just made that slight adjustment. Still have my kind of arts and craft project on the dust collector, just kind of on the edge of this blade working. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Sharpening the blade made a world of difference on that cut. Very worthwhile doing it. And the cut came out very nicely, much better than the previous cut. So I'm quite happy with that. And the coloring on this wood is just turning out quite spectacular. However, I am right at the pith here, and I can see some cracks occurring. It's one thing that I've got. The second concern that I have now is that I am just kind of way up on the edge of this log, and I think I'd like to flip it over and now start cutting back on the other side. So put this down, this surface will be down, and we'll just start taking slices off there. So I'm going to reposition the log and get ready for another cut. All right, I flipped the log over, dropped it down a bit. First cut's going to give me about a 6-inch surface. So we'll just kind of make those cuts. Even having taken all that wood off the this log, that piece is still really, really heavy. It's incredible how much weight that thing has. Now, I'm coming to learn that a lot of it is water content, but yeah, it's still a heavy log. Anyway, I'm going to grab a bite of lunch, come back and make this cut. All right, back from lunch. Just going to take about an inch off the top of this, a little bit, probably, yeah, about an inch. What that's going to give me is a slab. The next cut will be about 6 inches wide. So just taking off this top surface. Don't know what we'll get out of it, but I'm expecting that will just be firewood. So another good cut, very happy with that. That sharper blade is making a big difference. The coloration, I'm becoming quite convinced, is associated with some insect boring that was going on. That's my belief. However, incidental. The other thing to point out today is dust collection. So our pile of dust is just the stuff that doesn't get sucked into the dust collectors, just falls down the side of the log here and lands on the table. And I'm not getting very much out here at all. It's just mostly all contained to what falls down and a little bit of drift off. And you can see a little bit more here. Also point out the sawdust here on this cut is a little coarser than what we were getting before the blade was sharpened. So good to know that the saw, kind of running it with a good sharp blade, is actually doing what it should be. It's not grinding so much as it is cutting, so happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna rewind this, reset the saw, drop it down another inch, but I have an errand to run, so I'll come back when we're ready to cut this next piece. All right, back from an errand. We'll make another cut. I'm interested to see, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 insect borers on this surface. Let's see how deep they go. That cut gave a lot of this black marking or dark marking. Got some bore holes that continue into this wood. 1, 2, 3 of them. There were 2 more, so we've cut out a couple of them coming this deep. So we'll go down another inch. See what the next slab looks like. I'm getting a little bit of blade drift. The blade is drifting up just a little bit. Back the saw out a bit and then come back in for, see if I can correct that cut. So I have slowed the cut way down. And I'm still getting a little bit of blade drift, so I'm kind of thinking I should probably give this blade another sharpen. I don't know what happened, but at the very beginning of the log, it just bogged right down like it was going through something hard. It's not a nail, but the blade certainly seems to have dulled. So I'm going to sharpen it up again, and we'll pick up once that blade's done. Now that was a painful cut. A lot of blade drift. The wood here is just incredibly wet. It's almost damp when I pull my hand off it. Tons of this black wood. It's the darkest piece I've seen yet. And you can see the blade drift we had. I had to stop and reset here. So we cut all the way to here. I stopped it, backed it out, and started again. It came in underneath. Stopped it here, backed it up, and reset. Came in again. So another ridge there. Stopped it, more blade drift. And it appears to be the blade drift started at this knot. I can actually feel it right there. So we drifted there. And then just coming through this bit here, it just started drifting up. So we wound up being about 1/4 of an inch higher than we should be. As you can see, right here where the blade ended up. So a little bit higher on the right side than on the left. But, hey, that was not pleasant. So this blade certainly has become dull. I think my little mid-cut sharpening did not work, so I'll probably sharpen it right here at this end again. And failing that, get a new blade. But this is the start of a long Labor Day weekend, so I probably won't have any more videos up until Tuesday. But we'll continue. I'll probably come back here and poke away at this last remaining piece here. I want to get two more workable pieces out of this wood here, so I figured another 1 inch, then I'm into the pith. So might only get one out of that, but I would certainly like to get at least one more. So I may wind up having to do another. If I get a new blade, I'll do a reparation cut just to kind of clean that all up. Or I might just sharpen the blade and see if I can go over it again, just to kind of get it back to flat. Ugh, that was ugly. Anyway, stuff you learn as you start milling logs. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.